In part one, we framed the discussion around cannabis and its weird stigma. We introduced the system which utilizes cannabinoids in our bodies, which is called the endocannabinoid system. We explained the various parts of the system, which include the neurotransmitters, which are the cannabinoids because they function as neurotransmitters, the receptors, and the enzymes. So now let's talk a little bit more about these elements, which include the messengers, which are the neurotransmitters, the cannabinoids, where they go and how they are received, which is by way of receptors, and what they do when they get there. Do they stimulate or do they inhibit activity? So before we dive in, let's review some definitions. Endo means from within, coming from within the body. So endocannabinoid means a cannabinoid that is made naturally in our bodies. Exo means outside. So exogenous or phytocannabinoid, which means comes from a plant, means that it's not endo. It doesn't come from within our body. It's not made by our body. So there's endocannabinoids, and then there's exogenous or phytocannabinoids. So we have two main endocannabinoids that I want you to know. AEA, which is anandamide, which was the first endocannabinoid to be discovered, and it's similar to exogenous THC. And it acts on the CB1 and CB2 receptors. And 2-AG, or arachidonyl glycerol, which is an agonist at the CB1 receptors. So those are the endocannabinoids, right? There are many phytocannabinoids, right? The exogenous cannabinoids that are in plants. And two of the most popular are THC, which is like AEA, anandamide, and CBD. The different cannabinoids have different action and activity because they bind to different receptors in different parts of the body. It's like if you have a team of people cleaning a house, right, in different colored jerseys with different assignments. People in blue might be directed to go upstairs and clean the bathrooms. People in red might be directed to go and sweep the floors downstairs. People in yellow might be instructed to clean the patio. In this scenario, the people are the neurotransmitters or the specific cannabinoid, being told where to go. The destination where they exert their action or the area that they are directed to clean is the receptor. See, each person has a place to go to do a thing. Each cannabinoid has a place to go to do a thing. When we want a certain thing to be done, we have to know which person or which cannabinoid to use and where to send them, or where the receptor is located that can receive their message and perform the desired action. So simply put, the action of cannabis in our bodies is determined by which chemical is being sent where and what it does when it gets there. Some chemicals only work in the brain and spinal cord because that's where the receptors that can identify and engage with the chemical are located. And what it does when it arrives at the destination may vary depending on where in the body it's located. So a cannabinoid may activate something in the brain while inactivating something in the gut. It kind of all depends on what the engagement of that receptor by that cannabinoid does to that particular cell that's located in that particular location. And to make it just a tiny bit more complicated, there may be one cannabinoid, such as THC, which may work in the brain and act on certain cells in the brain that cause a psychoactive response of feeling high. And other cannabinoids, such as CBD, may also work on the same cells in the brain in that same part of the brain. And if enough CBD is around, it can essentially block the action of THC from being able to engage those particular cell receptors, mitigating the intoxication effect of THC. This is good because the THC has other useful effects that we may want to work on other cells in other parts of the brain or other parts of the body. And on those cells, the CBD may not be able to bind to those receptors as easily, so the THC's effects are realized where and how we want them, without the side effect that concerns a lot of us, which is the psychoactive component.